So this controller has been the one device that when I did my preview video of it has been getting so many comments, so many people asking questions about this controller, so many details. And I know a lot of people have been waiting for me to answer the questions regarding the Victrix Pro BFG for PlayStation 5, 4, as well as PC. And it's not that I'm avoiding you guys, it's just I've been very busy. I've been working on not only this review, but tons of others. But in this video, we're gonna talk about this controller because honestly, this controller is the one. It's, for me personally, the perfect controller for PlayStation, for PC, for Steam Deck, and it only has one little caveat to it that I think that if you were on the fence about getting this, that you may want to stick with the regular PlayStation controller, and we're going to talk about that and so much more in this video. So before we dive into it fully, if you enjoy the content I put out, make sure you like the video, sub to the channel if you haven't already, and ding the notification bell. That way you stay up to date on all the content that we put out on this channel. All right, the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to the Victrix Pro BFG is the fact that this controller is insanely comfortable. When I say it's super comfortable, I'm not even joking. Like, the gripability of this controller is just second to none. The way the controls feel from the D-pad, the analog sticks, the buttons, because you got two different sets of buttons. You've got the standard buttons for when you're gonna play, traditionally, and then you've also got the set of buttons that come with it if you want to use this as a fight pad. And there are two different ways you can use it as a fight pad. You can either use it, with your thumb, or you can do claw style, like if you were using, a fight stick or anything like that, or like a lunchbox or a hitbox or something like that. So I want to talk about the modularity of this controller. I know I touched on it a little bit earlier, but the modularity of this is so cool because it comes with a little toolkit. So basically it's a little proprietary screwdriver with Victrix branding on it, and you can just basically unscrew the two screws on both the left and right side for the analog sticks and the D-pad and controller. And then basically if you want to get the Xbox layout as opposed to like the PlayStation layout or vice versa, you can just unscrew it and then just flip it over. Literally, that's all you need to do. Or if you want to switch out the right analog stick and the buttons and switch over to like the fight pad section, then you can just unscrew this and then pull it out and plop the other one in, screw it back in, and you're all set to go. Now, what I like about how, again, going back to the modularity, is the fact that the D-pad, you can just pop it off and you can place on whichever of the three that it comes with, the disc, the traditional D-pad, or this Xbox, D-pad disc-like thing. You can plop it on and it just perfectly works. Inputs are incredibly accurate, probably the most accurate I've used on a fight pad or just a controller in general. And also, if you want to switch out the analog sticks, you can. The analog sticks are grippy. They have a little grip in the center, like a texture grip, kind of like similar to what you have on the side, so your thumbs don't slip off of them. But it comes with three additional ones. So you've got a taller one in comparison to this, you've got a smaller one, and you've also got a convex one. So you can use that as well, or concave, and those are really cool. So it depends on how you want to do it. So really, the controller is so modular, you can set it up how you want. If you want to use your headset with it, you can use any of them. Personally, I do use the Victrix headsets, which I absolutely love. These amazing sound. So you can literally just like plug it into the bottom of it, and then you're all set and ready to go. Just that simple. And when it comes to the triggers, you've got so many options when it comes to the triggers. You can have it at default where you can, depress it like you normally would, or you can also have it set up to do hair triggers. So basically what you do with that, you just basically, pull it over, you'll hear a click, and then you've got your hair trigger. Now it's supposed to be 3 different positions you can do, but I'm honestly, I'm only able to get like 2 positions, which is the hair trigger and then the regular, depression of the triggers. So, I'm fine with that. Plus, you've also got the paddles. Now, this is the perfect way, in my opinion, to do paddles because there are 4 sets of paddles, they're programmable, and they just fit here. Like you've seen me do videos on like other ones like the Fusion Pros from Power A, and I like those, but I don't like having those paddles stick out. The same thing when it comes to like the Xbox Elite controller, the Elite series, because I don't like how the paddles stick out because you can accidentally hit them. But this one, you've got to, put some pressure to be able to hit those paddles. The way this is set up is just very, very ergonomic. Now, what sets this apart from other controllers, and honestly, when it comes to the PlayStation 5, there aren't that many other, if any other Pro controllers. So I guess you're gonna say this is the one, right? So what's setting this apart from, the future one from Razer and as well as the one from PlayStation is the modularity of it, in the sense of modularity to go from being a perfect controller for playing shooters and a perfect controller for playing fighting games. Now, when it comes to fighting games, you guys know I play a lot of fighting games, so like Street Fighter, KOF, Tekken, and such. So if you guys ever grew up with the Sega Genesis 6-pad configuration, or if you've ever used like a Sega Saturn controller, or if you use any other fight pad that's out there, for example, like the Razer Ryon right here, which is one of my favorite fight pads out there because it's got the excellent buttons and it's got the micro switches in the D-pad. Unfortunately, with this one, where I get annoyed with this is it doesn't have the micro switches within the buttons, because it's just standard, buttons, but the D-pad is the micro switch. So the benefit of using the Victrix Pro BFG is the buttons are micro switches. That's something that no other fight pad I see has. And it just makes all the inputs just feel that crisp and just the chef's kiss, right? This controller is just absolutely crazy. It's such an easily modular controller that there's nothing like it on the market. Now the closest to this was the controller that Astro put out years ago for the PlayStation 4, which you can see there's a lot of inspiration from that controller in this, but this just beats it by a mile. Now, the other thing too is a lot of people had questions like, how does it feel as far as like the weight? Now, this is a light controller. If you were to put the standard DualSense controller versus this, the DualSense is a heavier controller, but you also have to factor in that the DualSense has the haptic feedback, it's got additional features within it as well. So there's a lot going on it, but the downside of PlayStation controllers, especially with the DualShocks 3, 4, and then the DualSense controllers, is the battery life on these is not that great. Now, this right here has a great battery life. So 60 hours off of a single charge if you're going to use it wirelessly. Now, again, this is something that separates this from other controllers, especially for PlayStation, because they don't normally license out or have other companies make official products. This is one of the things you really couldn't get with the PlayStation 4 unless you went with SCUF controllers or the like. But this one, 60 hours of battery life if you use it wirelessly, and it's lightweight. You don't get the haptic feedback or any of the other stuff that you would with the traditional DualSense controller. So that's the trade-off. But you get everything else. You get the touchpad. You get your option and share button. You get a modularity button. You also get on the back your headset control, if you want to mute or unmute and do different things. And then additional features is you have the selector on the top here, so you can go between PlayStation 5, 4, and PC, and it auto configures. Now I use this not only because I don't have a PlayStation 4 anymore, I only have PlayStation 5, and so I've used this with PlayStation 5, worked flawlessly. I play a lot of Call of Duty with this. Absolutely, the best controller I've used on the PlayStation thus far. And I've got the pre-order for the upcoming Razer controller, as well as for the upcoming PlayStation one as well. The one that's coming out. I'm excited to try it, but I don't think it's going to be as good as this, to be honest. I don't think even the Razer is going to be as good as this one. And other than that, I've also used this on my Steam Deck. Now, that's one of the things that's really cool about using this on the Steam Deck is the fact that this just instantly works. So you connect it to the Steam Deck. You can honestly, if you want, you can put it on the PC setting if you want to do that, but you can actually just leave it on the PlayStation 5 or put it on PlayStation 4, the switch on here, and it'll just start working, which makes this one of the best controllers to use on the Steam Deck when it comes to fighting games, or if you're trying to play shooters. You're really not going to get a better controller than this, other than maybe utilizing the Victrix Gambit controller. Now, there is a difference between the Gambit controller and the Pro BFG, because this is under the Victrix Pro line, whereas the Gambit is not, because it's It's not got all the functionality of this one. So that is something to keep in mind. Now, the other thing I do want to mention about this controller that is interesting, because a lot of people have been curious about that, is what is the latency like? So, I don't have the software or interface stuff to be able to do testing as far as like what the latency and lag is, but from what Victrix has put out official statements and me inquiring and talking to them, as well as me utilizing this myself, playing games wirelessly, like I've tested it both wired and wirelessly, and the difference to me personally is negligible. Now, I know these are tournament legal, so if you want to use this in like a COD tournament or any type of esports tournament or a fighting game tournament, they're very much legal. And the response time that I saw when I used this wirelessly was just like, I could not tell the difference. When I was playing KOF 15, you guys know my favorite character to use in KOF is Kyo Kusanagi. And so when I pull off his Rekka punches or his chain punches, I'm not having any latency or any issues when it comes to the inputs with that. And one of the hardest games to really play as far as a fighting game is KOF games, because you got all the pretzel inputs. And this one, playing KOF 98, Ultimate Match, Final Tune, or 2002 Unlimited Match, or playing, 13, or playing, hey, I've even played this, I of course I emulated it, but I played KOF 11, which is one of my favorite KOFs, and also playing 15 and 14, and I literally had no input latency at all. My moves went through perfectly, and I didn't have any issues with desyncing or anything. Like, I've had that issues, especially when you have to deal with controllers that utilize 2.4 gigahertz dongles. So I didn't experience any issues of like latency or lag or lost inputs. Same thing when I'm playing Call of Duty. Like, I'm not a pro level player when it comes to playing Call of Duty or Battlefield at all, in any sense of the word. But playing it with this controller, everything felt the same as if I played it wired in. And like I said, these are tournament legal controllers. So yeah, if you're looking to get some of the best controllers in the market, this is the one. Now, going back to what I said about the one thing about this that I don't like is the fact that it doesn't have the Hall effects, which, if you guys are familiar with Hall effect sensors or Hall effect analog sticks, basically they're magnetic and they prevent stick drift. Now, these are good for what they are, and I don't expect to experience any stick drift with these probably for like, years to come, right? So these are very well made. I've been vigorously testing this, but I will say that the one issue I do have is that they didn't include Hall effect sensors, which I think if they put this in here, the Victrix Pro BFG would have been the absolute GOAT of all controllers for PlayStation 5, as well as for PC, as well as PlayStation 4. Now, that is an oversight that it doesn't have that. I think another issue is that it doesn't have the Bluetooth capability. And I know that's something that, you can get around that by using a 2.4 gigahertz dongle, but I would have liked to have had 3 different options. I would have liked, because if you think about it, look at the 8-bit Do controller. You can do wired, you can do Bluetooth, you can also do 2.4 gigahertz. And that controller, it's only like $60, right? And on top of that, that controller also has the Hall effects in it. This is a $179 controller, and I'm wondering why they didn't put that in there. Like, this controller, for all intents and purposes, is the perfect controller of all the controllers I've ever used. And I'm just wondering, why didn't they include that? It should have been included in it. But, I digress. It's interesting that it's not there, but it should have been. So Victrix, I know you guys watched a lot of my content. So for your revision for the next BFG that you make, please put Hall effect sensors in these, and also a Bluetooth capability. This controller is already, $20 less than what you're going to be paying for like the pro level PlayStation controller, as well as the pro level controller from Razer. So if you're undercutting them and you're also getting a better value controller, then you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't mind paying an extra, like even that out to $200 and include the Hall effect sensors and include the Bluetooth. I'm just saying the Bluetooth connectivity because I'd rather keep my ports on my PlayStation and my PC free, as well as on my Steam Deck. I can just, Bluetooth into it, and if I have to use wired, or if I have to use 2.4 gigahertz, I'll use those to connect it. But I just want that capability because I can connect my DualSense and my Xbox controllers to my Steam Deck with Bluetooth, and it works, and there's little to no latency. I know there's additional latency with Bluetooth and such, but I don't know, put Bluetooth 5.1 in the next revision and you're solid. But yes, for fighting games, for shooters, for just about every game I've used, this is the most comfortable controller, and being able to have the PlayStation layout or flipping it around and having the Xbox, alternate layout, absolutely fantastic. Honestly, the textured grip, the plastic feel, it doesn't feel cheap at all. It feels very premium, and I can't recommend. This is the controller, the best controller I've used in years. Like, I love the Gambit controller. I just wish it was wireless, and hopefully when you guys do the revision for the Gambit controller, I hope that one gets a wireless capability like this one does, because that's awesome. And these controllers are just so good. Like, this is the controller to use. But anyways, what do you guys think of this controller? Have you picked it up? Did you pre-order it? Are you looking to get one? Whatever your thoughts are, why don't you guys let me know in the comment section down below. And if you're curious about picking one up, I'll leave affiliate links for you to pick it up on Amazon, as well as Best Buy or wherever else is located. I'll leave links down in the description below. All that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, thank you to Victrix for sending this out for me to review. And again, I want to apologize to you guys who have been waiting on my official review. It's just been taking time for me to get around to doing it, right? So I appreciate you guys being patient, and yeah, hopefully this video was helpful for you. All that being said, catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe, be blessed. I'll see you around. Peace.